السلام عليكم دكتور. دكتور ناصر. السلام عليكم دكتور ناصر موجود؟
Yes, موجود.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's workshop. Sorry, I know we announced yesterday to start earlier, half an hour, because with the workshop, so it will take some time. So we said it's better to start earlier. Thank you so much for who's joining us today in ITAR workshop. Thank you from different university, different language. Appreciate it. Also, this workshop is live in YouTube. This is me, Dr. Ahmed Al-Gattan, the founder of ITAR. Before we start, as I said, always, the question will be after the workshop, and you have to type to ask our keynote speaker your question. You can type your question in Q&A below the screen, or you can raise your hand and ask our keynote speaker directly. Please don't write your question in the chat, because the chat is keep rolling and we can't catch your questions. Our keynote speaker today is Dr. Nasser Hassan, is a scholarship award holder from the Educational Psychology Department in Kuwait University. He received his bachelor in teaching chemistry from Kuwait University and his master in measurement and evaluation from the University of Miami. Currently, he's seeking his PhD in psychology in psychometrics at the University of College London. His research interests are in the psychometrics and educational measurement fields. He presents several statistic analysis workshops in Kuwait and the United States using different programs like SPSS and R. Thank you so much, Dr. Nasser, for accepting my invitation, and the floor is yours.
First thing first, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you, Dr. Ahmed, for hosting this workshop. I believe your efforts and work with the ITAR group is such an amazing work, and definitely it's so beneficial for everyone within the research community around the world. So thank you so much for having me today, and I wish that the workshop will be fared good enough for everyone and meet your expectations as well. So just before starting, excuse me for shutting my camera off because my internet is not the best. So I think that will help us to will help you guys to catch me without any interruptions. Before starting, as you mentioned before, the questions should be written whether the Q&A section below the screen or by raising their hand. And are they able to open up their mics and ask the question? Or I just want to know how will
Dr. Nasser, right now, just go ahead and do your workshop. And please, before you start, if you can tell us what you will do today and what you will do tomorrow. Sure. So I received some of the questions that they thought tomorrow workshop, which is the second day, is the same as the today workshop. So it's similar. So just I want to, clarify it's not the same, and it will be continuous to today workshop. What you will taught us today and what you will teach us tomorrow as well. Regarding the question, all the questions will be after your workshop. So in the end of the
okay. So nothing in between.
Nothing.
Okay, perfect. So first things first. The workshop consists of 2 days, and I will be introducing the R program for you guys. So today we will be going through the R program language and how can you download R, why you should use R rather than other softwares, what can you do with R as well. And then I will introduce some basic concepts in coding using R language. And by the end of the day, I will just make the life easier for you guys by introducing the R script and moving to the R packages. And that's the end of day one. And tomorrow, we will be doing a real data analysis on real data. And so it's kind of applying what we have learned today and what we will be learning tomorrow as well to real data sets. So again, just to confirm, the workshop is not a single day workshop. It will be introduced in 2 days. So today and tomorrow at the same time. And just as a reminder, if you got any questions, just type it in the Q&A and I will be answering the questions as we go. So let's share my screen. Okay. So please, Dr. Ahmed, can you just confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So moving to R, what is R and what is R program? R is a programming language and a free software environment for statistical computing and graphics supported by the R Foundation for Statistical Computing. So basically, R does some statistical computing as the other programs do, but the most important thing about R is it's free for everyone. So we will not be using R specifically. However, we are going to be using something integrated into R, and that's a user-friendly, which is called RStudio. So RStudio is an integrated development environment for R and Python. And by the way, we are not going to cover anything about Python. However, when you understand the R language, you will also probably be understanding how Python language is as well. So we will also go through the RStudio interface and how to write commands and codes in RStudio. So with that being said, all of our work today and tomorrow as well will be through RStudio. So we will learn our language in RStudio, not in R. And this is something just to start with. So why using R? What's the advantages of using R? As I said before, and as I mentioned earlier, R is a free and open source a program that can run on Windows and Mac and Linux, if you are familiar with these systems. It's easy to use compared to other programming languages, such as Python, if you have used Python before. In R, we are using the R language. So the R language uses a powerful and easy to understand syntax with many built-in statistical functions. And you, as we go through this workshop, you can see that how writing the syntax makes sense in some way. So you will not be struggling with what does this mean and what does that mean. So it's a kind of straightforward syntax. There are thousands of packages that can be used by researchers in different fields. However, most of them are dealing with quantitative type of data. So I think there are a few related to qualitative type of data and research, but it's not my field, so I never tried to do any qualitative analysis before. But yeah, there are so many packages in different fields, from the social sciences to the natural sciences, and that can be used easily by researchers. And again, it's an open source, so you don't have to pay anything, and you can access it through your computer or wherever you want. And also in R, you can deal with big data easily. And let me tell you something. One of the reasons why I decided to move from SPSS, for example. So I've been using SPSS for a long time, especially during my master's degree. But then I decided to move to R and learn R just because of this advantage. Because one day I was working on a project that has just 250 participants in it with 15 columns. And when I cleaned the data and didn't store my work, I missed everything because SPSS was not responding, and within just few seconds, a work of 3 hours has been deleted. So at that moment, I decided to stop using SPSS anymore and try to learn R, which I'm thankful that I really learned this, and I hope you as well by the end of this workshop. Again, R has an excellent built-in help system. So if you face any problems, any issues, you can just type your error you're getting in the help window, or basically you can type your error in Google. One of the advantages of R, it's getting popular, and people are using it very often now, and especially researchers. So the probability of the probability of a problem to be solved by some other researchers around the world is very high. So whenever you face any problems or errors in R, you can just simply type this error into Google search, and you will find definitely a solution for that. So this is one of the biggest advantages of R. As we always say, there are no such advantages only, and definitely there are some disadvantages. And from my point of view, I guess one of the disadvantages in R is you may want to know some programming. So you should learn, you should have some background in programming to deal with, I would say, complicated commands or complicated syntax in R. But again, because of the thousands of packages, you don't have to learn really programming. You don't have to be a programmer to use R. And I'm not a programmer, by the way. Okay, so I will show you some of my academic work in RStudio that I cannot do it in any other statistical program, as far as I know. The first one was related to a simulation study comparing the cumulative GPA for high school students in Kuwait, and how that was shifted. The other two was related to a medical project. I guess it was related to COVID-19, and I was like the top statistician in this project, and we work on some meta-analysis, if you are familiar with this technique. So I did this in R, and so if you are familiar also with psychometrics, so I fitted some models, and this can only be done in R. I'm not familiar, or maybe I don't know any other software that can do this type of analysis and fitting models. Again, this was a project related to scores and items, trace lines that can be retrieved from R, test information, standard error of test. So a lot of things that can be done in R that cannot be done in somewhere else. So yeah, so far, any questions related to whatever we just said? Q&A. So I think there is a question from Javid. How can I? You like to answer this question? Okay. So can we use R for marketing and HR analysis? Definitely, you can. I've seen some packages related to if you mean human resources analysis. Yes, there are so many packages related to human resource analysis and for marketing as well. But I'm 100% sure that there are few for human resources I've seen before. How can we use R in meta-analysis? So basically, it's a question from Musabbah, I guess. So we use R to implement the meta-analysis. So basically, we do the analysis through R, and not the vice versa. So there is some packages, and meta package is one of them, that you can install and use R to analyze your data. I hope this answered your question, Musabbah. So Fatima is asking, what about using R for SEM, structural equation modelings? Definitely, there are also quite big packages for SEM analysis. So yeah, you can use R for SEM. I've been using R for SEM before. So I hope this answered your question, Fatima. I think Majda, she's asking, how many time do you take to learn R? So any programming language, I guess, from my experience at least, as much as you apply what you have learned, and as much as you play with the codes and try to explore and on a personal pace, you will learn faster. So again, it's a programming language. If you don't practice it, you will definitely forget it. So the practice is the key, I would say. Miriam is asking, can we use R to find correlations between variables? Yes, definitely. And we will show this in tomorrow's workshop. So yeah, you can use R to find the correlations between variables in many ways and using different type of methods. So yeah, this is something you can do with R. So Bahi is asking which packages you're going to demonstrate to us. So for today, I'm going to use mostly the built-in packages. So the built-in functions, we don't have to load any package for today. But tomorrow, I'm going to introduce the deployer package, definitely, the read Excel package, the read R and the skim R packages. What else? I can't recall, but yeah, psych as well, because we are going to do some correlation tests. And yeah, I guess that's it. Maybe tidyverse as well, ggpub, R statistics. So we have plenty of packages that we are going to work on starting from tomorrow.
Dr. Nasser, I know that the Q&A, it won't stop asking questions. So please, I prefer just go ahead and, just continue. And after that, we'll go ahead and answer their question. Because I know previous, the chat also, they were asking, also the YouTube. So just go ahead. We want to
no worries.
And then after that, we'll ask you a question. Thank you so much.
Sure. So while I think it's a good idea to introduce how to download RStudio, then we may have 5 or less minutes to answer. Before downloading RStudio, as I said, RStudio is an integrated part in R. So first of all, you should download R. And to download R, you can just access their website. That's their website. I think I can type it in the chat as well. So if you go there, okay, so if you go to cran.r project.org, you can download the R first, and you cannot work on RStudio before installing R itself. So it's not very large in terms of the size. So it will not take more than 2 to 3 minutes to download it and install it as well. Just make sure that you choose the right system. If you are using Mac, you should download the Mac version. If you are using Windows, you can download the Windows version. And after that, if you downloaded R, you can just go to RStudio website and download RStudio as well. Again, make sure that you download the most appropriate version for your system, for your device system. And by the way, I've received so many questions about whether R can be installed in iPads or phone. So not really. You cannot, like, there is no application for that, but you can use R Cloud, and it's like using R in the cloud. So you can access it from wherever you want. So this is something you would also know. So Bahi is asking, is there any files we need to download to practice art? No, right now for today, there are no files to download. Everything we will be working on will be do it together. So you don't have to pre-download anything for today's workshop. So I'll give you about 3 to 5 minutes to download both programs at both softwares and install them as well. And while waiting, I think it's a good idea to answer some of the questions. Dr. Ahmed, don't you think that?
So again, Dr. Nasser, again?
So while waiting people to download and install R and RStudio, do you think we can take some questions?
Yeah, no.
During 5 minutes? Yeah.
It's up to your time, Dr. Nasser. I am worried about the time, that's it. For me, I am free.
No.
That's fine for me.
Sure. Yeah, sure. No worries with that. Trust me, I enjoy doing that. I know that when I was learning R, there are so many questions that raised to my mind, and I was like, I want someone to answer them. So I really understand why people are asking these questions, and I really love to answer them as well. So Majid is asking whether it's recorded and whether the materials will be shared later. I think it's recorded, right, Dr. Ahmed?
It's recorded.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So Mohammed is asking whether there are packages for finance and can I modify it? So if you want to modify, let me start from the second part of the question. If you want to modify any package, like if you want to work on the back end of the package, you should contact the package author. Otherwise, if you want to modify it to, let's say, to fit your model or to work with your data or whatever you want to do with your work, yes, you can do it without the author permission, because again, the packages are open source, so you can use it whenever you want. So there are packs for finance. Definitely, there are packages for every single discipline in the world, as far as I know, every single discipline. So there are plenty of packages around different majors, different disciplines, different areas. So don't worry about that. You will definitely find something.
Also, here's a question regarding the download, because there is 2 free. The first one is RStudio desktop, and the second one RStudio server for open source license. So which one will download? Both of them.
So we will be working on RStudio desktop. So if you want to download RStudio desktop, please. Let me see if I can open up the website. So if you just scroll down, you will see that there is RStudio desktop, and this is what we are what we will be working on. So just hit on download. You will see different operating systems, Windows, Mac OS. To be honest with you, the others I've never seen something related to them before, but I'm familiar with the Mac and the Windows. So just choose the most appropriate one for you. Okay, so let's move to the Q&A again. Can we use R to correlate environmental variables? Yes, definitely. You can use it to correlate whatever you want. Are the packages similar to add-ins in eViews, for example? I'm not sure what is eViews, Aya, but I think the packages are not like add-ins. The packages are, how would I explain how packages are looking like? So if we wait until the end of this day, we will see what does package mean, and how can we work on using them, work on our data set using them. Hello, is R could be used to modeling options such as GOM. I'm not sure what does this equation mean, Najwa, but it's something that you can look at it in Google maybe. So let's type this in Google, and I think we may find something in R, let's say. Yep, so you can do it. Yes, you can definitely do it. There is like GOMPRTZ function with R. So you can do the modeling that you want using R. So again, R is doing a lot of stuff that we may know and we may not. So Najla is asking, are we going to do any hypothesis testing? Yes, we are going to do all such stuff tomorrow. It's not for today's part of the workshop. It will be tomorrow. Okay, so so this is yeah, Mohammed's right. So packages like pre-installed functions. So that's correct. So the packages contain a lot of functions built within it. So you can use the packages. I mean, you can use the functions within the packages. So yeah, this is the best way to say how packages are looking like. Okay, so I think everyone by now should be able to install. Okay, Aya is asking whether I can show how R is installed through their web. Okay, so if you click on the first link, Aya, and I'm using Mac, by the way, so you may want to follow with me. So here are the operating systems. So if you are using Linux operating system, you can just download it from here. If you are using Mac, as I do, you can download it here, and then where is it? Here is it. So if you just click on this one, and this is the R program, the R software. I hope this this helps. Aya, I think Aya was the one asking the question. Yep. So I think we are ready to start now with some coding, some interesting stuff with R. Yeah, you're most welcome. Okay. So once you install R and try to open it, you will see a new project window or wizard. So you want to create a new project in R. So just hit on or click on a new directory if you want to use a new directory and to set, I mean, a new directory to work on it and to save all of your work within this directory as well. And if you want to upload something, also you can upload it directly from this directory if everything is inside. So for example, my working directory is when you click on the university work, I'm sorry, it's in our projects. So if you click on our projects and then click on our workshop, ITAR. So this is my working directory. You can see all of the files I'm working on is under this working directory. So it's just you can drag and click and drag it wherever you want. Okay, so by clicking on a new directory, you have to choose the location of where you want to save this directory. And if you maybe want to save it at the beginning in your desktop to be easier for you to access it later, then you should specify or type a name for this working directory. So for me, the name of my working my project is R Workshop ITAR. So whatever the name you want to assign, you can do it. So any questions so far before moving on? Are you struggling with opening the opening the project, or shall we proceed? Again, if you are familiar with this, I'm sorry for being super slow. I'm just trying to catch everyone and not to be super fast or super slow as much as possible. But I know it takes some time for some people to digest it. So again, excuse me for being super slow with this. If you are super familiar with R. Okay, so it doesn't seem that anyone has any problems so far. Okay, so let me just introduce the Rcu interface to you guys. So this is how R looks like. So it's composed of 4 different windows, even though we are just looking at 3 right now. The 4th one will come later, and I will show you how we'll get the 4th one. And you can change the width of the windows, and you can also change the layout of the windows as well. So you can take the console to the maybe lower left, or maybe the environment to the top left. So you can work on this layout. I will just, if you give me a second, I will introduce each layout or each window to you. However, if you want to change the layout, I know that I changed my layout before, so you may notice that my window, my Rcu window, is different than yours, and that's totally fine. So if you want to go, if you want to change, I'm sorry, the layout, you can just click on Tools at the top of the screen. Then click on Global Options. And then click on Pane Layout. So now you can see that there are 4 different windows. We will talk about the source window later. However, the console window is where you type your commands and you get the results as well. So the console area basically will contain the input and the output of your commands. And down to the left, we got the history, connections, build, VCS, the tutorial. We will go through everyone shortly. And then to the top right, I'm sorry, to the bottom right, we got the environment, files, plots, packages, help, and viewer. And again, I'll go through each of them. So any questions so far about how to change the layout? Okay, so is there any way to share, Dr. Ahmed, is there any way to share the slides with them?
Yeah, sure. After we finish the webinar, send me whatever you want, and I will share it with them.
Sure.
Or right now, do you mean?
I mean, right now, can we do it, or we can?
Right now, I don't know, Dr. Nasser. It will be, يعني,
Let me just write it and
I
see.
can't because you know who's registered in this workshop. It's more than 500 or something like this.
Oh, I see.
So I don't know who's here and who's not until the workshop is.
Okay. Sure. So yeah. So excuse us. The materials should be sent by to you guys after the workshop. Okay. So again, moving to the windows, I will start from the left. So the history window is the window where you will see the history of your commands. So for example, let's say we ask R to give us the result of 2 + 2. So again, when we want to retrieve this command like later, we can just go to history and check what we have done and do it again if you want. And the connections and tutorials are something that we don't usually deal with. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. Okay, moving to the top right, the console is the place where everything is done. I mean, in R. So everything you want to do when you want to type your input, if you want to get your output, it should be appear in your console area or in your console window, and that's where your commands and outputs basically will appear. We don't deal with terminal. We don't deal with jobs as well. Sometimes if you want to do some simulation study, this is where you want to work with the job window. Otherwise, you don't have to really care about it. And then moving to the right, bottom right, environment is basically when you want to import any data set, or you want to fit any model, or you want to save any variable, or you want to create a vector, you will see everything in the environment. So right now you can see our environment is empty. So we don't have anything stored into R in terms of a data set or vectors or variables, whatever. Files is the window where you will find every file in your working directory. So this should be reflecting this one. So this is my working directory. And you can see that my working directory has 4 files, and here you have also 4 files in the R view. So yeah, files is the window where you can find your files within the directory. Plots are plots. So if you plot something, you will see it in plots. You can view it in plots. You can export the plots as well from export option. And packages window is where you can find your packages. There are a few pre-installed packages in R, and there are also another packages that should be installed by you, or if you want to use some functions that are within a certain package, you can just install this package first and then recall it or load it. And we will go through the installation and loading the process of the packages. And that should be done today by the end of the day. So you can see that some packages has this right or ticked, I would say. So this means this package is loaded. Otherwise, if the square is empty, there is no tick, it's not ticked. That means the the package is not there, so you cannot use any function that is written within this package. And again, if we want to use anything, we can just install and load the package. We will go through this. The help. So the help window is when you want to know something about a package, a specific package, or a specific function. So you can just type here the package name, and from the package name, you can just describe the function you want, and you can see the description of this function, and what are the arguments that should be within each function, and an explanation for every single argument that should be. So, for example, what does object mean here? So if you go down, object is the keyword object, and I think this is used in the genetics discipline. So I was working on a project that is related to genetics. So yeah, this is why I searched the VLN plot. So yeah, for example, if you want to look at maybe the meta package, so if you type here meta, you will get a lot of stuff. So let's meta package maybe. I'm sorry. Okay. So here you will see the different things related to meta. And if you just go here to the home page, and you can see also there are so many stuff on the home page. If you want to get some introduction into R, you can use the manuals and introduction to R, and this will show you what do you need in R, simple manipulation, and all such stuff. If you click on maybe when we want to look at grouping, so you can see that there are so many stuff related to grouping. So it's a very nice window if you want to learn on a personal basis some stuff related to R. And a viewer, it's not something that we really care about it in R, so we will not deal with this as well. So again, the main windows that we will be looking at for today and tomorrow, and while working on R overall, are the console window, the environment window, and the plots window. Otherwise, all of the other other windows, you will not be using them. To be honest with you, I can't recall when was the last time I used the history window, or maybe the connections or the tutorials in my projects. So so far, any questions related to the window? I hope this was clear enough and straightforward as well. Shall we proceed? Okay, so it seems like it's clear. So let's move on. Next, we will introduce some coding stuff into R. So again, going back to R. Okay, what do you think about? Let me see if I can do this for you guys. I think it will be easier for you to follow. Maybe. Hold on a second, please. Okay, I think yeah, this would be easier for you to follow if I divided my screen. Okay, so again, if we want to type any syntax, or if we want to ask R to give us the results of 2 plus 2, for example, all you have to do is to write your command just after this prompt here. We call it the prompt in R. So just write 2 plus 2 here. And then hit enter or click enter. And you can see that you get the result, which is 4. Let me see if I can show you another thing. Okay, so run is basically over there. You cannot do run here. Okay. So as you can see, when we hit 2 plus 2, this is saved in our history right now. So history again will just track whatever changes you are making on your console or later on your script as well. Okay, so here are the results. The result or the output of this command 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, so what does this one between the squared brackets mean? So this one really means that this result is for the first part of the input, which is 2 plus 2. So as long as we go through this workshop, you can see that our window will not be enough to hold all of the values here. So you will see that this one will change to maybe to start from 8, and that means we are now moving to the 8th element in our output. So 1 is not part of the output. However, it just suggests that this is the first element of our output. So I hope that this is clear. So starting with few calculations or computing stuff, we can also do some subtraction as well. So if you say, let's for example say 5 minus 3, this will give us the result of 3. And this is what we are expecting as well. And if we want to multiply, so we can use this to multiply. So let's say if we want to multiply 9 by 2, just click on enter, you will get 18. And this is the result of 9 multiplied by 2. So if you want to divide something or use the division, we can say, or we can use this slash. Okay, so let's say we want to divide 20 by 5. So this is 20 by 5, and the result is 4. Okay, what if we want to raise a number to a power? So, for example, let's say we want 3 to the power 3. So we have 2 ways to do this. And speaking about the 2 ways, generally in R, there is no such thing that this is the only way to do the programming. So different people sometimes do think differently. So you may just try one way that is much more easier for you, or you are proficient in this way. So overall, and as long as we go, you may see that a lot of stuff could be done in a different way. However, maybe this way is the most appropriate way for me personally. So there are so many ways to get to whatever you want to get to in R, and the key is to work on the most appropriate one and the most suitable one for you. And this could be understood personally. So it depends on you, I would say. in very short words. Okay, so again, if we want to raise a number to another number, so we can use this. So that means 3 to the power 3. So the power comes after the symbol, and this equals to 27. Or there is another way, and that's could be done by this. So it's double star. So 3 to the power 3 again, and that's 27. So this is how we perform some simple calculations in R. So any questions so far? Do you have any questions related to this so far? Is it something really straightforward for you guys? Okay, perfect. It seems easy. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. So sometimes it's not practical to write every single command in a line, as you may follow. You can see that every command in blue is written in a separate line. So what if we want to add all of the comments in one line? So we want to just write one line containing all of the outputs we are looking for. I think there are a few questions, sorry. Okay, so Mohammed is asking, I got different layout in Windows OS, and also Ashraq is asking the same question. So again, guys, you can always manipulate, you can always change the pane layout. So you can do whatever you want with the layout. And again, going back to how you can change it, you can just go to Tools, and from Tools, Global Options, pane layout, and just change it to whatever you want. So you got, again, for Windows, and we didn't go through the source window yet, as we cannot see it now right now in R. But yeah, you can change it through this option. Okay. Okay. So Imad is asking, what does the number 1 between squared brackets mean in each line of coding? So this basically means that this is the first element in your output. So sometimes you will get different elements within each command. I can show you something. So for example, okay, so whatever I'm doing now, just ignore it. I just want to show you what does this one really mean. Okay, so let's say if we want to call this one Imad, and that's want to, let's get something bigger, 20. Okay, and if I hit Imad, you can see now you got 1 and you got 16. So what does this really mean? So 1, this means you are starting with the first element of this vector Imad. So Imad contains numbers from 1 to 25, and 1 is the first element, 2 is the second element, moving to the 15. After 15, there is no space to present 16, 17, 18, and so on. So R will automatically goes to the next line, and you will see that the next line will start with 16. So 16 is not part of the output. It's just the 16th element of this vector, Imad. So I hope this clarifies the thing for you, Imad. Does it make sense, Imad? Okay, I can. Yeah, I'm not. Okay, clear enough. Thanks. No worries. Okay, Najla is asking also another great question. So why you are working on console instead of script? It's harder to edit the code, I guess, in console. So this is why, Najla, we have a whole section called R script, making the life easier, and that should be presented very soon, Najla, during this workshop today. So don't worry, we will get there. I just want to I want people to be familiar with R before going with the console. I mean, before going to R script. But yeah, you are correct. R script is definitely much more practical than the console. Okay. So Zahia is asking a question. Would you repeat this point? I'm sorry, which point exactly you're referring to, if you don't mind? The last one. Okay, so we will get there. Regarding the R script, we will get there. Don't worry about it. So I was just answering I think Najla's question just to clarify the things for her. Yep. So we'll get there. Don't worry. Okay. So let's move on. How can we perform multiple commands in just a single line? So we can do this by separating the commands using a semicolon. So by using a semicolon, you can separate the commands from each other. So for example, let's say we want to do 1 plus 4 or 3, sorry. And then we want to do another calculation that is maybe 2 to the power 3, maybe. Then semicolon. So this is how we separate commands from each other. And last, let's say we want to do maybe 30 divided by 6. If you hit enter, you will see that the first output, the first element, is the output of the first command, and that's 4. The second one, the second command, is 2 to the power 3, and that equals to 8. And then we got 30 divided by 6, and that equals to 5. Okay, so why we are getting again 1, 1, 1? Because each command written before the semicolon is a command itself. So it's not like we are running this in a one. So it's not like a one thing, and the elements are within this thing. So, for example, in Imad, 1 to 25 are all stored within Imad vector. So this is why we are getting 1 and 16. But for this example down below here, it's not the case. So the case here is we have 3 different commands. So we should expect 3 different lines of outputs, 3 different ones, I will say. So this is how you will get or maybe I would say do multiple command in one line. Is that clear enough? So the only thing that I introduced here is the semicolon symbol. So again, we use the semicolon just to separate the commands from each other in one line. And that's it. I think there is one question. Is there any an attendance link to the testimony? I think maybe Dr. Ahmed will help you with this. Yep, I believe so, but maybe Dr. Ahmed will help you with this better than me. Dr. Rana.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Okay. And I think she is referring to the attendance certificate, Dr. Ahmed, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. There is no certificate for ITAR. That's a weekly question, actually. There is no certificate. We are here to learn. That's it. Thank you, Dr.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Dr. Rana.
Thank you so much for the clarification, Dr. Ahmed. Okay. Okay. So we didn't do any sort of we didn't use any sort of function yet. So functions in R are written in a way that you can see that. Let's say if we want to, okay, basically let's define the function first. The function is something written like this in R. So it's the function name and then brackets, and whatever you want to do and using this function should go to this between brackets. Okay, so there are few built-in, not few, to be honest with you, there are so many built-in functions in R, and you can just simply use all of them if you want, and you may try all of them in terms of statistical computing or calculations. Okay, I will introduce the function, the square root, this time. So the square root function is sqrt. This is a function. So this function will basically gives you the square root of any number between the brackets. If you can see the small yellow highlight here, it's suggesting square root and just a single argument, which is x. So x means a number here. How we will know that, or how we will know what does each argument mean, I will show you definitely later from the help, or there is also another way to do this. Or since I mentioned that, so why not we just introduce this at this now. Okay, so if you want to inquire about any function, let's say the square root function, all you have to do is either to go to the help window, which is not practical from my point of view, or just to ask R, what does this mean? So the question mark means you are not sure what this function does, and you want more information about it. So I put the question mark and then put the square root function, click on enter, and now you can see that you got the information about the square root function, and you can see that there is only a single argument here, which is x. So what does x mean? X is a numeric or complex vector or array. So x could be either a numeric, a number, or a complex vector or array, and it's not a good idea to present what does complex number mean. So it's not the case of this workshop. Okay, so the square root of any number, let's say 9. Square root of 9 is 3, and that's correct. And again, you can see in the history, you can track all the commands, all the functions you have used during this R session. If we want to do maybe square root of, let's say 25, it's 5. And yeah, this is how the functions are working in R. Again, some functions are built in within R, so you don't have to install any package to work on these functions or to use these functions. But however, sometimes you may face an error message saying that this function is not does not exist. So whenever you get this error message, that means the function you are trying to use is within a package that is either not installed in your system, or it could be installed but not loaded. So you have to make sure that the needed packages and the functions are you are trying to work on are within a loaded packages and installed first, basically. Any questions so far? Okay, we will come to this point. Musabbah is asking, what does vector mean in R software? Okay, so we are going to cover this very short. So I think it's the next point. So it's just the next point. Don't worry about it. Okay. Any other questions? Does workshop 1 hour or more? So the workshop will be around 2 hours, and could be a little bit more. So I hope this is convenient for you. Okay, so moving to vectors. Sometimes we want to store our results, our outputs in a variable. So a vector is basically a variable in R. However, just a different terminology. So how can we save our output in a variable? Let's say we want to know the result of adding 2 to 9. We know that's 11. Okay, what if we want to save this 11, number 11, into a variable, so that we don't have to write 2 plus 9 every single time we want to use R? And this is very helpful if you have multiple numbers or multiple whatever characters in your calculations, and you don't want to just write down this code every single time. You just want to type the the vector and just ask R to get this stored output. Okay, so if you want to do this, let's say we want to call this vector x1 maybe, or maybe x. Let's say x. Let's start with x. So we can do it either by saying x equals 2 plus 9. So what I actually wrote now is I said I want to define a new vector called x, and that equals to 2 plus 9. So that means any output we will get from the 2 plus 9 calculation will be stored as or will be stored in x. Okay, so if you click on this, you can see now in your environment you got x, and the value of x is equal to 11. Okay, what if we want to call this value? Simply you can just hit x, enter, and you will get the value of x. And that's it. As simple as this. Okay, what if we change this x to be, let's say 11 plus 1. You will see now x will be overwritten. So you will overwrite any existed x before. So make sure that you are not saving any vector over the other one, and you want to make sure and to be cautious and careful when you try to name a vector. Okay, so this is one way to assign a vector or to create a variable or a vector. The other way is just by substituting x with this arrow, again x, this arrow, and let's say this is 10 plus 15. Enter, and you will see that x has been changed to 15. So we overwrite the new x with the previous one, or vice versa, I'm sorry. Okay, and when you say x, that equals to 15. And this is how you create a vector in R. Before moving to the questions, I have some notes. Let's say if we want to call our vector or variable 1x instead of x. So 1x equals none. Click on enter. You will get an error message. And that error message is unexpected symbol in 1x. If you remember, I said that R language is an easy to understand syntax. What I really meant is this. So if you get an expected symbol in 1x, that literally means that you have an unexpected symbol in 1x. So by understanding how you can write vectors in R, you will know that you cannot start a vector name with a number. So always the vector name should start with a character, with a letter. You cannot start any vector with a number. And that's something you should pay attention to. The other thing, let's try saying, okay, so I don't want it to be 1x, I want it to be x1 this time. So x1 equals 9. Let's see. Now you can see that x1 equals 9 exists. And that means 9, the number 9, is stored in our vector x1. Okay. Can you pay attention? What's the difference between these two? x1 and x space 1 equals 9. Click on enter. Oh, now you get unexpected numeric constant in x equal 1. Again, so if you want to save a vector as x1, either you write it as an x1 without space, or you may want to use the underscore. So x_1 equals 9, and you will see that there is another value, another vector created here, which is equal to 9. So again, you cannot save your vector name, or you cannot sort you cannot start your vector name with a number, and also you cannot use space between the letters, the characters, or whatever the combination is in your vector name. And that's all with respect to the vectors, how to store the a single output in a vector. Before moving to the more complex vector type, is there any question? Is there any question so far? Okay, it seems like a vector is a variable in a certain direction. I'm not sure what do you mean, Ali, but do you think do you mean that a vector is a variable? Is this what you are suggesting, Ali? Yeah, right. You're right. Yep. You're right. Yeah. So a vector could be understood as a variable, right? Okay, perfect. So yeah, let's move on. Okay, so moving to a little bit more complex type of vectors. Before moving there, I think Mohammed is asking how can we import data set from Excel sheet? All of the real data set analysis will be done tomorrow, Mohammed. So if you can attend tomorrow, you will see how can we import data set and analyze it as well. So we will be doing some sort of data analysis tomorrow. So today is just basics in R to get our hand with R, and that's for today. Okay, so moving to more complex type of vectors. Okay. Again, vectors can be either numeric or character, logical. So there are so many types of vectors. We introduce the numeric one now. Okay, what if we want to include more than one output, more than one number in our vector? So let's say I want to include 1, 2, 3, 4 in one. I want to store all of these all of the 4 numbers in one vector. How can we do that? Let's try again. Learning R is about trial and error. So sometimes you want to try something, you will get error, you will try to fix it, and this is how you will learn R. This is basically how I learned R before. So by trial and error. Okay. So let's say we want all these numbers. So we'll say as usual, y equals 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what we get. So we get error again, unexpected, comma, and y equals 1. So the problem is in this comma and anything after this comma. So what was the problem really here? In R, the vectors can read the first element if there is only a single element in this vector. However, if you want to combine many elements within a vector, you should use a function, a built-in function called C. And C refers to combine. So we want to write the same code again, but rather than putting them like this alone, we will use the function C. So the function C means combine the following elements. So now we will paste our elements 1, 2, 3, 4, click on enter, and now you can see that you got a vector called y, and this vector is a numeric, and num is an abbreviation for numeric. And when you call y, you will see y has 4 elements. That is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and that's how we store numeric or integers, I would say, values. Okay, moving to characters. How can we store characters in R? So let's say we have a vector called z, and I want this vector to hold my name, Nasser. Click on enter, and you will see that there is an error. And this error is object Nasser is not found. So that means R didn't read my name as a character value. So values, again, could be numeric, integer, logical, and or characters. So this time you want Nasser to be a character. So to define Nasser to be as a character, every character should be placed in a quotation mark, either single quotation or double quotation, doesn't matter. So by this, R now will recognize this Nasser as a character. So if you want to assign a character value to a vector, you should place this character between quotation marks, either single quotation or double quotation. It doesn't really matter. Let's try double quotation. Again, I like to use double quotation, so it's just personal preference. And you can see now Z is giving me Nasser. Okay, so why it's giving me the value, returning the value with quotation? Again, because Nasser here is a character. So we cannot multiply Nasser by any other number, because Nasser is not a number. Nasser is a character, and this is how R will understand the character values. So by placing the character, by placing the value within a quotation mark, you will just simply tell R that this is a character. Be cautious when you deal with this. Okay, so far, any questions? Any questions related to this specifically? So any questions related to the data type, to storing vectors, different type of vectors? Okay, seems clear for most of you. Okay, sounds perfect. Okay, so now I would like to hear from you guys. Let's say if we want to create a variable called, let's hide this one. Okay, so let's so there is a question. I did not understand the response to C, why the result is 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so again, you are referring to this. Okay, so Najwa, again, you cannot assign multiple values in a single vector without combining them. So by using this C function means you are combining them. So using C for small c, combining values. And this is why we are using C here. So C means combining. So we are combining the values, okay? Because if you try to do it without the C, you will get an error message, as we got above. Here, you got this error message. So you cannot store it like that. You have to combine them together, Najwa. I hope this clarifies things up for you. Okay, so now I created a variable called C, and this Z, Najwa, okay, sorry. It's not 1 plus 2 plus 3. Yes, Najwa, it's not. So if you want to create a variable that is equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3, you can see that, let's say, I call it NJ, and that's 1 plus 2 plus 3. And you will get the NJ equals 6. And this is the result of your vector here, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3. Is this what you are referring to, Najwa? So Najwa, do you mean like what's the benefits of combining? Why we are using the C? Is this what you are referring to? Oh, okay. So if we want to store multiple, let's say for example we have, I will say this from an educational perspective, as I'm into the field of education. So let's say if we are creating a vector containing student's grade, a certain student, let's say Nasser's grade in 3 different subjects. What's the reason for summing up all the values of my grades rather than just specifying my English grade is for example 20, my Arabic grade is for example 10, and my chemistry grade is for example 50. So this is how the benefit of using the combine function, the C function, is to separate the numbers from each other and to deal with each number separately. I hope this clarified the things a little bit for you. Is it clear, Najwa? Okay, perfect. Okay, so Ashrak is asking, C is like a range, right? So basically, it's not necessarily. So C means really a combination between the numbers. So it's not like a range. So it's not like ranging from 1 to 4. So C is basically every element, every single element within this vector. So this is what C means. Okay, so I will give you an exercise for this. So I created a vector called Z, and this Z is containing my name, Nasser. So what if we want to create a vector Z, but now Z will contain my name and your name as well. So it will contain 2 elements, multiple elements. How would we do this? I will give you 2 minutes to figure out how would you guys do this. Ali's asking, can we combine characters? This is the question for you, Ali. Okay, Najla shared her syntax with us. So let me just copy it and paste it here. Okay, so this is what Najla got. She stored Z. Nasser and Najla and Z. And you may notice that Najla used the C combination of Nasser and Najla. And both Nasser and Najla, since they are characters, she typed them between quotation marks. So let's see. Excuse me for a second. Okay, so when we call Z, we will see that there are 2 characters, and those are Nasser and Najla. Well done. I think most of you got it correct. Again, it doesn't matter whether you use single quotation or double quotation. It really depends on your preference. And yeah, that's it. So any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, so it seems like everyone is following up very well. Let me just clear up these as we answered most of them. Okay. Yep. Semicolon between Nasser and Najwa. Oh, okay. So Imad is asking whether we should separate the values by semicolons. So semicolons, we use semicolons to separate commands from each other. So in our example, Nasser and Najla are just values. So we separate values by a comma, Imad. We don't have to really use the semicolon here. So I hope this clarifies these things for you. So excuse me for just seconds, please. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm back. Okay. So I've got a question from Zahia, I guess. I do inventories and sects by stations. How I can exploit these variables? Can you just explain that more, please? I don't think that I really get it quite. I didn't really quite understand it. I'm still waiting for Zahia to type her question again, to retype it. Ali is asking whether equal is just the same as larger than and the dash. Yeah, that's correct. So either equal or this will do the same thing for you. We'll store the output in the object and in the vector, basically. Okay. So you have 3 stations. Okay, I'm following. I think this question, Zahia, would depend on, and I find 29 species. Yeah, I think I got your point, Zahia. So I believe that the best way to answer your question is to know more about your idea or your research. So if you don't mind sending me an email after the workshop. So this is basically my email. And we will figure out a way to do the analysis. So I'm sorry to say that, but I don't want to go through this with everyone else, as maybe someone who might not be interested in. Okay, so I think there no space between z and equal in the case of character. It doesn't really matter whether you do this. Sorry. So whether you do this or this, so whether you put spaces or not, you will get the same you'll get the same output, as you can see, Dr. Mohammed. So it doesn't really matter whether you put spaces here or not. But just make sure that you don't put space between the Z and the 1 here. So it should be one thing, Z1. Okay, I hope this answered your question. Okay, so what else we got for today? So yeah, okay, making our life easier. So as far as now, you may notice that we've done so many, and we ask R to perform so many commands for us. And you can see all of the commands in the history area. And that's really too much. This is something that you will hardly track in future. Especially sometimes you may lose the data, you may accidentally clear the history, so you will not be able to access the codes. And here where the R script comes. So what is the R script? Again, if you remember at the beginning, if you can recall, I said that R consists of 4 different windows, even though now we are just looking at 3. So the 4th window, which is the source window, contains any R script if you open up any R script. So what is the R script? R script, in terms of its definition, is simply a text file. So R script is a text file. However, a special text file because it contains the same commands that we would enter on the command line of R in the console. Okay, so how can we open up an R script? And by the way, if you are not a programmer, it's okay to use R, because sometimes most of the researchers, most of the package's authors will provide you some scripts that you can use and change the data with yours. So you don't have to really be a programmer, proficient programmer, to do this, and this can be done by R script. So how can we open up a new R script file? So if you go to the top left here, you can see that there is a new file option. If you want to click on it, the first thing that you will see is R script. Let me see if there is another way to do this. I think from file, a new file. Yeah. So either by here, R script, or by going to file and then R script. Either cases work. And now you can clearly see that R Studio is now divided into 4 different windows. Is that clear? Is everyone following how can we open up an R script? Any questions on how to open an R script? Okay, sure. I will repeat the step in the both cases, both ways. So the first way to do this is to go to this button and click on R script. The second way is to go to file, and then from file choose a new file and R script. So either way works. Okay. Yeah, you're most welcome. Okay, so R script is where the place where you will write down every single command you've got. Also, R script will allow you to write some comments if you have some comments. Let's say, for example, in one of the cases, I said that, okay, let's say here, maybe, for example. So let's copy this, transfer it here. So this is our command. What if we want to add some comments to this command? For example, to know why we are adding C here. To do this, you can simply click on the hashtag, the hash symbol, and you will see that the color turns to green. So anything written in green would be either character, in some cases, I will explain it later, or a comment. So here we will say that we used C to combine C function to combine the values within the function. So this is a good or a great way to write some comments if you are attending an R workshop or whatever, if you are working on a project, if you want to share your R codes with someone else, this will be a good idea to share your code, just to let the others know what you are really doing. Let me show you an example of this. So if I want to open a file, so this is one of the projects I was working on. Okay, let me just find where are the R codes. So the journal asked me to provide them with the codes that I've used. So this is how my codes look like for this study. So you can see that every single step I did was what was explained. So for example, here I asked them to clean the should be cleaned to extract the cumulative percentages column only. So I asked them to do this step and as an extra step to know that they should extract the last column. And moving on, so this is, I said that this is the density curve section that you already saw here. I showed this to you. This is the density curves here. So I got these curves by these codes. So this is for one section only, one division. So all these codes were for this this picture you've seen earlier. Okay, moving on, conducting ANOVA, one-way ANOVA, and moving from fitting the model to at least getting the whole results. So what if they have a specific question on maybe this code? If I'm providing them my history, they will definitely misunderstand where this problem is coming from, or maybe if there is any problem with this code. However, our script will save your life because of tracking and specifying each code and give it a specific number. So for this code, for example, you can see that this code is written in line number 94. So if the editor has any concerns, or maybe he tried to run the analysis and it didn't work with them, he will ask me, what's the problem with line number 94? However, in the history, there are no numbers. So you cannot really know where is this code written and whether there are any problems or not. So let's change this to maybe number 1. And okay, let me. So you can see that there is now an error in the R script. So R script is kind of debugging your codes, your syntax at the same time you are typing it. So it will also save you some time to change the errors and to work on it before submitting anything or before running the analysis. So you will not get the same error when you just type the same code in the console window. So this is the advantages of using R script rather than just typing everything on the console window. So any questions so far? So Najla, the study was on the consequences of canceling the exams during COVID-19 in Kuwait. So if you can email me, I will share the article with you. So this is my field of expertise. I work in tests and stuff related to measurement and evaluation and education and psychometrics, basically. So this is the type of projects I usually work on, and sometimes I work as a top statistician in other fields. So I've worked I worked in the medical field before as a top statistician. I worked also in linguistics field as well, and genetics. So yeah, this is my area of expertise. Thanks though, Najla, for showing your interest. Okay, so yeah, this is the advantage of R script. Okay, so how can we save our script to come back to it later? So it's just as simple as clicking on the save button here. Can you see the button here? It's a small, I know, but I hope that you guys see it. So if you click on save, it will directly open up the last file you opened with R. And I forget where is our working directory. So our workshop, ITAR. And let's name it like workshop. And today's date, 9th of April. Okay, so this is our script. Let's say if I close it and I would like to open it tomorrow, I will come here. I would say open file. And then this is my R script. So everything will be saved from what I've done, what I did today, if I want to access it tomorrow. So yeah, that's it with respect to the R script. Any questions so far related to the R script? So I guess we have 2 more things before wrapping up our workshop today. And I guess within 20 to 25 minutes, we will be done, and we will come back tomorrow at the same time. So again, don't forget that we are going to cover a lot of things tomorrow as well. So we will love to have you tomorrow as well. Okay. So let's move on to creating tables in R. One of the most important things that most of the researchers want to do in R. So again, creating tables. If you've noticed that I write a comment, and before writing my comment, before typing whatever is not code, I just can write it after the hash symbol. So write hash, then your comments, you type whatever you want. Okay, so I will say we can create a table in R using the matrix function. Okay, so the matrix function is the function that is responsible for creating a tables. Okay, so how can we know more about the matrix? For example, now we don't know what are the arguments in matrix. How can we use this function? So I taught you a way to ask R on how to perform how to use the matrix function. So who can help me with this? If you can just type it in the chat. How can we ask R to give us information about matrix function? Right, correct, Najla. So you will write matrix, and don't forget to click on enter. Okay, I'm sorry. So enter here will not work in the R script. So you may want to click on in Mac. So it's command matrix. I'm not sure what you guys should hit in Windows. Do you guys have any idea? So if you want to run this in Mac, you will you want to click on command and enter, but I'm not sure what is command in Windows. Is it Control Shift? Okay, so Control Shift enter. And if you want to do it in Windows, that's Control Shift and enter. Okay, let me try this. Sorry, Control enter. Okay, so it's Control enter. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Control enter, Najla. Right. Okay, so now we can access the help file of the matrix function down here. So you can see that in matrix, you've got data, which is an optional, again, it's an optional data vector, including a list or expression vector, non-atomic classed R objects, and so on. And row is basically the desired number of rows, and col is the desired number of columns. And we got this by row argument. This is logical. Whenever it states that this argument is logical, it's either false or true. If it's false, that means this is not working, which means in this case, by row, it's whether the values should be filled to the matrix, to the table by row. If it's false, that means no. So you will add the values by column. And this is what it states here. So if false, which is the default, so if you didn't specify this argument, it will be false by default, which means the matrix is filled by columns. Otherwise means turning this false to be true. The matrix is filled by rows. Dim names is an attribute for the matrix, null or a list of linked to, giving the row and column names. If you have some names you want to specify in your table, we will get there. And X basically is our object, and it can be a number or a character. So any object in R. Okay, I just want to introduce something for you. So for example, if we want to call a numbers if we want to call numbers from 1 to 10, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can do it in two ways, either by this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, okay, so I forget the C. I always forget the C. Okay, you will get the numbers. However, there is an easier way to do this. Again, there is no such thing that is something is correct, the others are wrong. However, there are easier way than the others. Okay, so if we want to call numbers from 1 to 10, 2 is basically the column. So if you say 1 to 10, that will literally gives you the number from 1 to 10. So it will give you the sequence between these and including these numbers. So if we want to get the numbers from 1 to 100, that's 1 to 100. You will get the whole all the numbers from 1 to 100. If you want to get numbers from 1 to 1000, and that's 1 to 1000. So as you can see that this is much more easier than writing C brackets 1, 2, 3, 2 down to 1000. So this is an easier way to get the sequence of numbers. Okay, moving to our table again. So what is the table that we are looking for? Is this table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are the numbers we are looking to include in our table. So at the beginning, this is our X. So this is the first argument in our matrix. So again, matrix should contain the data. It's NA because not very often you will use the matrix function to create tables from existing data. However, you want to include X. So X is your basically your object. Okay, so let's just do this. Sorry. Okay, so if we want to create the table as shown here, and that contains 2 rows and 5 different columns. So we will say matrix containing the values from 1 to 10, and the number of rows is equal to 2, where the number of columns equal to 5. And this is our matrix. If you click on run, either from here, so this is also run, or you want to click on Command Enter if you are using Mac, or Control Enter if you are using Windows system. And now you can see your table here. And that's 1, 2. Okay, and if you've noticed this, the numbers are created by columns. So we want it to be by row, right? So this is totally different than what we are looking for, right? To fix this, we will add the argument by row and make that to be true. And now you will get the same table as expected in our example. Okay, one more thing. Now we created this matrix, but we didn't assign it to any vector or any table, so that you cannot see it right here in your environment if you go to your environment. So what we want to do is to assign this matrix to a vector, to a variable. in terms of the research context. So let's call it table 1. So now you got a data, and this data is table 1. If you click on table 1 in the source, you will see that this is actually a table, a real table. And this table is exactly the same as the one we are looking for. So far, is it clear? Any questions so far? Imad is asking, we have a place where we can save all codes in an organized way. The file, do we have such a thing in R? To be honest with you, I didn't use SATA before. But I think what you are asking about is the same as what the R script does. So in R script, you will save your codes in one file. And that is when you save it and just come back to it anytime, you will still find it there. This is I guess this is what you are asking about, Imad, if I'm not wrong. I'm sorry if I didn't understand you very well. Dr. Mahmoud said from help, yes, I think you are answering the question where we will get the information about matrix. Okay, so any questions so far on how to create tables? Okay, so let's move on. Now we want to create, before moving on, any questions? Again, please. Okay, I'll do it again. Sure. No worries. Okay, so again, how can we create a table? So to create a table, we should use the function matrix. So this is matrix. First of all, you should assign the objects. What do you want to include in your table? So we want to include the numbers from 1 to 10. So 1 to 10 is like this: 1 to 10. This is the first argument, specifying the values that should go into this table. Comma. This is the first argument. Moving to the second argument. So what's the second argument? If you go to help, you need to specify the number of rows. By the way, it doesn't matter whether you specify the number of columns first or the rows. The order is not very effective here, so it will not affect your results as well. Okay, so number of rows. As you can see, we have 2 rows. So that's n row equals 2. This is the second argument, comma. Move to the third argument, which is ncol. So ncol is the number of columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 5 columns. By hitting enter or run, you will see this is the table, and it's different than the one we are looking for, meaning that there is something wrong. So if you can see what's the difference between the two? In the right version, the values are filled by column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. However, what we are looking for is to fill the data by row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have an argument called by row, and that's a logical argument. If false, which is the case in our example, the matrix is filled by columns, and this is what we have seen here. The values were filled by columns, and this is not what we are looking for. We are looking to fill them by row. So we will change by row from being false to being true. So by row, true. Then click on enter. You will see now an identical table to the one that we are trying to achieve, trying to do. Okay, then I saved this matrix because it's not saved in your environment. For example, now it's saved because I did this step before. However, it was not saved, so we need to save it and call it table 1. And that's table 1. I hope this is clear, Dr. Mohammed. So Imad is asking, to get the output in Word file, we need a code, right? Yes, we need a code, and sometimes it's easier just to copy and paste, Imad, your results, and just use whatever you want. However, the graphs could be retrieved and exported from the plots, and we will see this tomorrow. So you can do this easily. View function do not work for me. It say could not find function of view. So Bahi is asking view function do not work. So did you type view, Bahi? Okay, Dr. Mohammed, you're most welcome. So while Bahi is answering my question, Najwa is she misunderstands the step of equals true. So Najwa, when you just notice the difference between when you remove the by row, which is basically the saying that by row is false, and that's table 2, let's say. Just compare these tables together. So table 1, table 2. So the first one is the table 1, Najwa. You can see that table 1 is filled by column. And this is what we are trying to achieve. I'm sorry, by row. And this is what we are trying to achieve, is to put the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the second row. So it's like filling 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5, and that's by row. By the first row, we finish the first row, we move to the second row. However, if you didn't put this argument to be true, and that is the default, which is false, you can see that from the help. This is false, which is the default for this argument. The data will be filled by columns. So this is the first column, 1, 2. Then moving to the second column, 3, 4. Moving to the third column, 5 and 6, and so on. So this is the main difference between the two two ways of writing the syntax. Najwa, I hope this helped. So Bahi, you don't have really to type view. The only thing you want to do is to go to your environment and just click on table. Again, how can we get the table? Again, so we got the table by going to the environment, and from environment, we will click on table. This is how we get the real table. And you will find it in source. Okay, so this is where you can access your, oops. This is how can you access your tables, okay? Okay, a few more questions. Why is true in gray? It doesn't matter, Ali, I guess. If your question is why the colors changes, do you mean here? White's, it's not gray though. It's a light blue. I'm not sure what's the specific color code is this, but it's not gray. Maybe it's gray in Windows. No, even in Windows, it's not gray. It's just like light blue, or yeah. No worries. You're welcome. So Dr. Muhammad is asking whether true must be capital. I think so. Again, it's like a personal way of learning. If you want to know whether this function works or not, whether true should be capital or not, just change it. It's a sort of trial and error. Sometimes, by the way, if you just click, if you just type T, capital T, this means true. So you don't have to write the whole word true. However, what if we write it like this? You can see it's black. So R doesn't know what you are really writing and asking R to do. So yes, you should write it in a capital way, and a capital form of letters. I hope this answered your question. Yeah. So yeah, it didn't work, right? So you should write it in a capital letters. Yeah. Okay. Last question before moving. Okay. I don't think that there are more questions related to this. Okay. So let's move to the second table, which seems to be a little bit much more complex, I would say. Okay, so we want to create another table containing these numbers 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and that's 3 rows and 3 columns. So that's 3 by 3 table. How would we do this? First of all, let's create our data. So what we want to create a vector containing these numbers. So again, if we want to create a multiple numbers, the best way to do this, just please ignore what I'm doing here. I try to be for this example, I want to be how do I say, very step-by-step person. So let's first create a vector containing all these numbers, as we learned before when we created X and Y and so on. So to create a vector containing multiple numbers, can you remind me which function should I use in the chat? Can you type it in the chat, please? Which function should I use if I want to combine multiple values? C, that's correct, Bahi, that's correct. Cassinia, yes, that's correct. So we want to use C, and we want to include, sorry, there is, I guess, a question. Yes, Fatima, that's correct. Okay, so we want to put these numbers, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 15, 60, 70, 80, up to 90. Okay, so click on, just make sure that you assign this correctly. Yes, that's true. So you get all the numbers 10 to 90. Okay, so you don't have to delete this one and rewrite it again. So just before C, assign it to any number. So I will call it example 2. So example 2 is a vector containing the values from 10 to 90. Enter. And if you call EX2, example 2, you will see the numbers 10 to 90. So far, do you guys have any problems? Any questions? Okay, because we've done this pretty much a lot today. Okay, so now we got our vector, which is ex2. Now let's move on to create our matrix. So again, to create a matrix, a table, we will use the function matrix. Our object is stored in ex2. And this is the first argument, which contains, and this is the same as 1 to 10. So we don't really have to write 1 to 10. We can just say 1 to 10 in any vector, and then in any variable, and then just use it here. So ex2, and this is our data file, or this is our variable that contains our vector that contains the values we want to include in our table. Okay, moving to the number of rows. Number of row equals 3. So we got 3 rows. Number of columns, we got 3 columns as well. 1, 2, 3. Click on enter. Make sure that's correct. Yes, that's correct. This is identical to what we are looking for. Okay. So now let's name this as table 2. So just to the left, go to the left and type table 2. This is what we want to name it, table 2. And if you click on table 2, you will see that this is identical to what we are looking for here. And this is how we create some complex tables, I would say. There is one more to go down here. However, there is an exercise. I will give you 3 minutes to figure out a way to create a data set like this. So how can we create a data set like this? I will give you exactly 3 minutes for this. Okay, so let's see what you guys have done here. Okay, so different different approaches to get to the table, and this is the best thing about R. So again, there is no such thing that this way is correct and the others are incorrect. So for example, I will take Najwa's solution for that. So this is from, sorry, Najwa. So first, she created a vector. She called it EX3, containing the values that should be in the matrix. And then she created the matrix. Sorry, let me just do this in here. Okay. Okay. Unexpected. Oh, why? Let's run this. Hold on a second, please. So matrix. Oh, okay, because you put an equal, so it should not be equal, right? Yeah. So it should not be equal, right? Unused, okay, and rows incorrect. Yep. So yes, you're right. You got, by 2 steps, you got the table correct. So another way is how I will get Ali's trial here. So Ali did it in this way. So it's a single chunk of code. And we got exactly the same results. So again, a different approach. Bahi did it in another way. So here is another way that Bahi used. So he created a vector containing numbers from 1 to 10. Then he created another vector containing the values in V multiplied by 10, and that will convert 1 to 10, 2 to 20, 3 to 30, and so on. And then created the table as, okay, so this is actually, Bahi, this is, you should put something here. So if you just change this to by row equals true, you will get the same table that we are looking for. So this is a creative way of answering this question. So this is Najwa. I guess this was Ali. And this was, who's this? This is Bahi. I'm sorry. This was Bahi. And last thing, Zahia did another way. I think Zahia, your codes aren't written in. I will just fix this. Zahia. So matrix. Let's see if this will work. 10 to 90, and row equals 3, and call equals 3. You will get 10 to 18. So the reason for getting this is because if you run this alone, you will get values from 10 to 90. So every single value from 10 to 90, and that's not what we are looking for here. Okay, but good trial. Yep. Always make sure that you, Fatima created a new way. Right, Fatima just used basically my coding and she just changed a single argument, and she added to my, this was my coding, so this was my syntax. She added a single argument, which is by row true, and this will result in same table that we are expecting to work on. Very good job. I think you guys are getting the concept very, very well. It seems like most of you have been using R before. Okay, so before answering some questions, let's just move to the last practice for today. And from this practice, we will build on some concepts. So, Dr. Ahmed, do we still have some time, or we should just?
Well, Doctor, that's fine for me, but I prefer, I think they got some ideas today. They know some new things. I know, now we take, a step for tomorrow that
Sure.
we did some stuff. So let's have like 15 minutes for a question who had, questions, and then we'll continue tomorrow.
Sure.
Right now, we have like 15 minutes for a question, and then tomorrow, inshallah. I think 3:30 is not enough, Dr. Nasser.
Yeah, I think so. This is why I decided to move it a little bit earlier. So I think now you get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being patient with that. Again, so any questions? Do you guys have any questions so far related to what?
Have a question, raise your hand so we can. We have like Majada. You can unmute your mic and you can talk, Majada.
Yeah. So Ali's saying that it's Ramadan. Thank you. Yeah, I know, Ali. It's the same for me as well, and I'm fasting. And I'm feeling, to be honest with you, thirsty. Talking for 2.5 hours without drinking anything. I'm feeling tired, to be honest with you. But yeah, I enjoy doing this. Yep.
Majada, please, can you unmute your mic, please? Dr. Fatima, unmute your mic, please, so we can hear you.
I don't think they can open up their mics because it's a webinar, not a meeting.
Can you unmute your mic, please? Yes, go ahead, Dr. Fatima.
Our programming for statistics is very good presentation. Sir, I want more in-depth exercises to develop the financial, like stock market.
I can't hear your voice very well. I'm sorry, Dr. Fatima.
Sir,
did you follow up? What?
Yeah, I'm following since half hours. So
I mean, Dr. Ahmed, yeah, now it's clearer. I can hear you now.
Like I want to go in depth, like how we can analyze the data for stock market analysis. That type of exercise.
Yeah, perfect. So if you go to Google basically, and I never basically worked on this, to be honest with you. So if you can just let me show you here. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you so analyzing stock market data in R, so you will get definitely a lot of stuff related to this, and you can get some explanation, some demonstration as well. Sometimes you will see a lot of stuff. So it seems like the main package for this is the QuantMood package. So we will learn how to install packages tomorrow and to get the values. And here you can see how you can analyze the data. I'm not sure what are these I know this is something called bullish, and you guys are much more better than me in analyzing the stock market, but I know that this is something that, yeah, this is like a model of shoulders and head. Is that right? I'm learning also.
Yes, thank you very
anyone?
much, doctor, and especially in the month of Ramadan.
Yeah, no worries. My pleasure, Dr. Fatima.
So
Thank you so much for choosing to attend the workshop. No worries. Yeah. Dr. Majid, I think she's still raising her hand, but
Yeah, but she didn't respond. Maybe she has a problem in her mic.
probably.
Jada, please, if you can unmute your mic so we can hear your question. Guys, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Please raise your hand if you have a question.
Yeah.
All right. So there are some in the Q&A. Just take some of them, Doctor, and that's it. We'll continue, inshallah, tomorrow with more advance and analysis and this stuff. I think it will be more interesting, inshallah.
Sure. I don't think that there are any questions except the one from Imad that is asking about whether regression analysis should be would be done tomorrow or not. So basically, I will teach you how to fit the regression model, Imad, and you can then get the results. So we will be using a package that is mostly used for regression analysis, but we will not talk about regression specifically. So tomorrow, regression has a lot of stuff, and I would say more advanced sort of dealing with R or performing the analysis with R. So I believe that this could be one of the topics for future workshops if you are interested. Okay, so I hope this helps. Majid is asking, can we use the same code for the characters objects? I believe you are referring to the matrix code for when we want to create a table, Majid. And if this is the case, yes, you can use the same function, the same matrix function to create a column containing characters, objects, names, for examples. Yes, guys, I hope this answers your question.
Guys, for tomorrow webinar, please, you need to register. You need to register. I put the link, the registration link in the chat. So please, please, please register for the second day. So if you register on the first day, you can't attend the second day without register. So you need to register. I put the link in the chat, and also let me put all the accounts, my accounts that I announced the workshop. Also, you can find the link there as well. Where is it? Here we are.
Yep. I believe that's all. No more questions. I don't know if you can see any.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you so much, Dr. Nasser, for your effort and your time. I know it's Ramadan, and you, before Iftar, and you taught us about all of these information. A very nice program that everyone nowadays looking forward to check and know. What is this program talk about? We know SPSS, we know Stata, we heard about R in different conferences and this stuff. And please, tomorrow, if you can give us a briefly, we compare Stata with R or SPSS with R, what is the difference? For me, I see one very good advantage in R, which is free. This is, I think,
Right.
the best thing. Of other than this, I know many university actually, because of budget and this stuff, they are moving from Stata and SPSS to R because it's free. However, for me, I always use, in my master I use SPSS, in my PhD I use Stata. And then when I work in the university, they said we before we use Stata, but now we are in R. So just I want to know what is the difference and this stuff. Not today, tomorrow. That's it. Thank you again, Doctor. And also I want to thank all the audience for attending today webinar. And also I want to thank who was with us and the YouTube as well. See you inshallah tomorrow. Again, Dr. Nasser, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. Inshallah, enjoy the iftar, everyone, and see you tomorrow.
My pleasure. Take care and stay safe. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.